Hello and welcome or welcome back. This is Beth, your self-care specialist with DivineMeTime. So this week we are starting on a new trio and I have a new emotion alchemy practice for you. So grab a blanket and a bolster if you have it or some kind of substitutes. The trio that we're working with this week will be shame, guilt, and embarrassment. And we'll be elevating these to play, joy, and alignment. So if this is your first time here, there is quite a bit of background to emotion alchemy. But the gist of it is that you have to feel something to heal it. And we also need to keep it moving. And emotion alchemy helps us do that. If you'd like to know more, you can visit DivineMeTime.com. And you can also visit the first video in the series in which I talk a little more at the beginning about emotion alchemy. So we work with different elixirs depending on which emotional trio we are working with. This week we'll be working with forgive. So let's start seated. Any comfortable position for you. You might want to hold your hands in a mudra such as Gyan with the thumb and index finger together. Just rest your hands somewhere on your legs and be sure you can sit up with comfort and ease. You might need to put, at this point, the blanket or pillow under your pelvis to help with that. We are going to begin by calling up the energy of shame, guilt, and embarrassment, and just notice how your body responds to those words, or perhaps even to memories of times you've felt that, or maybe something really current and hot for you right now. Just notice where you feel it in your body and any discomfort or aversion that might come with that feeling. Breathe. Breathe and observe. Now, as you bring up these emotional states, start to respond in your body. What would happen if you continue to follow that emotion? What does your body want to do? So you might find that there's a tendency to push away or even kind of withdraw back. So just let your body experience that. And maybe there's an element of hiding. And when you feel complete, just come back to an upright position. Take a deep breath. Good. And then we'll move into our first restorative pose here. So you'll need the bolster or substitute. This is going to go under your hips. And it can take a little bit of practice to get it right in the right place. You want your thighs and knees to be able to reach the ground easily. And you want to feel as though there's an opening in the lower back. There is some compression in the belly too, but you might prefer to have the bolster either a little lower or probably not a little higher, but you can play around with what's most comfortable for you. And same goes for your head. Sometimes this position is not comfortable to turn your head to the side, so you can either place your hands on or forehead on your hands like so. Sometimes I use a block here. I don't have a block free at the moment, but I can show you how practical a big fat French dictionary can be when you're doing your yoga practice. So it serves as a block. So if you don't have a block handy, just grab a big old fat book at about the size of a block. And you can use that to support your head And, these are all options. So you want to search for the option that's most comfortable for you. And we'll just be resting here. And the idea is this, this prone position, this having the front body protected. When we feel shame, guilt, or embarrassment, there is this desire to hide, to not be seen, to protect our vulnerable underbelly. So notice the two sides of the body, the belly side, feeling protected, feeling supported, and then the back body, which is often thought of as our protective back, kind of our armor. And so just get a sense of that as well. Let's take some deep breaths. Now the questions that we work with here at this trio of emotions and what we need to consider is, what is being neglected? Or what is being overridden? What is being estranged? If your face was turned to one side, go ahead and turn it to the other side as you continue just to grapple with these questions. Now, you might be feeling, for example, shame because of the way that you've been neglected. But ultimately know that every emotion we feel, really we have to be responsible for. We have to take responsibility if we want to be free, if we want to mature beyond it and come into the higher frequency of play, joy, and alignment. So the better question might be not who's neglecting you, but how are you neglecting yourself? What aspects of your needs are being overridden by you? What are you allowing in your life that you need to perhaps set a boundary around? Let's come on up to Sphinx pose here. So just draw your elbows in right under your shoulders and have your palms flat facing forward, or perhaps interlace the hands if you'd like, have more of a triangle shape. Just make sure your elbows are right under your shoulders. And as we hold here, be careful not to sag into the shoulders. We want to stay nice and supported and pulled up through the arms and shoulders. The head is not craned back looking forward. It's just looking down at the floor in front of you. So it can be difficult to face our own shortcomings. And this particular trio does involve that, and it can be quite challenging. Let's bring the head and look down. So just tuck your chin to your chest, nice and long through the back of the neck. And then lifting up to look a little more forward and back and forth between those two. And feeling as you move what happens through the whole length of the spine down to the tailbone. Now you can also make some circular motions with the head. One direction and then the other. And lower yourself back to the ground and push back if you can. Otherwise, maybe roll onto your side to come up and into child's pose. And we're using the bolster here now to support the forearms. And this too can be such a lovely pose when we're feeling a little embarrassed, a little insecure, a little guilty. You know, we all make mistakes and we all have failings from time to time in how we treat other people, in how we treat ourselves, planet. We don't need to judge ourselves harshly for these shortcomings. We just need to love them and accept them, look at them, be willing, and have the intent to do better next time, or to learn from these mistakes. So you can rotate your wrists or actually it's really a rotation through the shoulder. Bringing the thumbs up towards the ceiling and then rotating the whole arm, bringing the thumbs down towards the mat. Can be a really nice sensation. But you could also just work through the wrists instead of the whole arm if you prefer, or even just wiggle your fingers. So just play around with some movement there and then relax. Drawing the arms back, we will come up. Move your props out of the way. We're going to do a little more work on the belly. If you're not comfortable flat on your stomach, then you can put something under your hips. You might like that. Or you can roll a blanket up under your ankles, and that can be helpful. Otherwise, just lying flat and rocking from side to side. Just settling the body, again, in this prone position, this protected position. Drawing one heel towards the buttocks. And if you can, grabbing hold with the same arm, if not, maybe using a strap or a tie to grab hold of the foot. And leave the other half of the body and the head and arm of the other half of the body just rested. Let that quad, that thigh, soften. Release whatever tension you might be holding in the stretch. And that heel might suddenly come a little closer to the body. That knee can be working away towards the bottom of the mat, and the thigh can really be enjoying the support of the floor and kind of spreading out. And you can also, if you have the ability, to work the sole of the foot. That can be really nice here. Using that thumb. And then extend the arm of the free side and begin to lift into half bow here. So the chest comes up, the arm and the foot are opposing. So there's a push-pull happening. And you don't need to go up any higher than is comfortable for you. And again, keep the head aligned with the neck and the neck aligned with the spine. So don't crane your head back to look up. That's not necessary here. And release that. We're going to do the same thing to the other side after a pause here. Breathe and just notice sensations that are resounding. Taking the other heel now in, and this side may be the same or it might be quite different for you. So again, if you need a prop, grab hold of that. And if you can grab the foot freely, do so. There's no need really to pick that knee off the ground to stretch. In fact, to start, just let everything be heavy. Again, working the sole of the foot in any way that you would like. And softening that thigh and allowing that knee to lengthen away from the body. Sometimes the soles of the feet can be quite tender, so you want to release any tenderness there with the help of the thumbs. And on this side too, we'll elongate the free side and we'll come into half bow. So whenever you're ready, you can do that. And once you start the opposing, the foot against hand, hand against foot, that's where the lift kind of comes from. Breathe and soften. Good, and release. And just notice what you feel. You might want to rock through the hips a little side to side. Let go of any contractions you might be holding. When you're ready, go ahead and flip on your back and come into constructive rest. So now this is the first time that we are open in the belly to the world. So we're just going to kind of respond to that feeling of openness and bring the knees into the chest and just give a little hug. Counter pose for all the back bending we've done. Letting the back lengthen now. And also taking a moment to prepare to drop the legs away from the belly, that little bit of protection there. Breathe and soften. Let your shoulders relax back to the ground, even if you have your arms around your knees. And see if you can relax the whole back as you begin to draw your knees into the armpits, into happy baby. So a lot of our deep shame is implanted at a very, very early age. We don't necessarily even know why we feel it today. So now we assume both a vulnerable position for some, but more importantly, a joyful position as a baby explores its own body and grabs hold of its toes and maybe plays and rocks from side to side a little. So you can either hold this position, and if you do, just notice if you're holding because there is a fear or inhibition to exploring it more, or if it's just a decided stillness that just feels good. But at any point, just feel free to start to explore the movement a little more playfully. Free the uninhibited child who was taught that there was a right time and place for everything. And let this be the time and the place to play. And as you rock, just really enjoy that sense of the floor massaging the back body as you roll. Maybe straightening both legs into a V. No right or wrong here. It's just whatever you want to explore. And when you are complete, just coming back to constructive rest. Maybe the hands are on the belly, maybe alongside the body, you decide. So another question that we can consider in terms of feeling shame or guilt or embarrassment is what is worth recovering or reclaiming. You know, in terms of the neglect, what was neglected, what was lost, and what steps can you take to reconnect? Understand that you matter. You matter. Just repeat that as an affirmation to yourself. And then just allow one knee to drop open out to the side. Doesn't have to touch the floor, just play with that external rotation through the hip and then the other leg. And just going side to side. Repeating the affirmation, I matter. Let's cross now one leg over the opposite thigh and then drop the knees over to that side. You might want to extend the arms to the upper corners and turn your head away from the knee drop. Breathe and feel that expansion now through the belly and hip. And if this is too deep for you, you could always just do a figure 4 stretch. Instead of dropping the knees over to the side, just keep the supporting leg standing. And coming back to neutral. Let's go to the other side. Take up space. You have a right to be here. No matter what you've done or haven't done. No matter your feelings of guilt, shame, or embarrassment. You have a right to be here. And coming back. Hands on the belly to breathe and just feel the effects of that stretch. If you would like, you can now drop one knee in towards the midline and cross over the thigh with the other leg, again reaching up into the corners. So this is just a variation on what we've just done with an internal rotation, this time of the hip. Breathe and soften. And reflect. Gently rolling back up, uncrossing your legs. And we'll go to the other side, so dropping the second knee in toward the midline and crossing over with the other leg. Breathe. And if you need, sometimes it can feel as though there's no support under the knees and the legs will feel a little heavy. You can grab hold of a blanket or a block or bolster, pillow, whatever you've got, and just tuck it under that knee and let the knee rest on that. It can make a world of difference, so do try that. Okay, coming back up, uncrossing the legs, moving any props out of your way. We're going to come into a Shavasana, so straightening your legs and resting your arms alongside your body. Feel free to grab a blanket to cover yourself. And just let your mind be empty. Follow your breath and bodily sensation instead. As we rest, let us drink of the elixir of forgiveness. Forgive yourself of all your shortcomings. Forgive yourself of all the mistakes that you've made. Forgive yourself for the blunders. For the awkwardness. For the wrongdoing. Forgive and receive the message that shame, guilt, and embarrassment are there to send you. What is worth recovering? Okay, when you're ready, just curl onto one side. You can stay there for a moment. And when you're ready, go ahead and push yourself up to a seated position. And let your body rest upright in the seated position a moment before we meet standing for our last practice. So standing now, with plenty of space around you, I'm just going to start to move. Now, I don't want you to think about moving in a particular way. This isn't a choreographed dance. This is a free jiggle, a free shake. And it can look totally wild. Free your inner wild child. And don't stop, just keep shaking. When you feel like stopping or giving up, just find that little child who just wants to have fun and play and dance. And keep going. And change it up. If it feels samey, do something different. Find a new direction, a new shake, a new wiggle, a new waggle. Move through the head, the hips, the hands, the feet. Change your weight from right to left. Spin around, lift a leg, lift the other leg. You get the idea. Unbridled joy. Let yourself smile, let your heart open. Free yourself through this vibration of all shame, guilt, and embarrassment. And then stand tall, stand proud, and feel all that energy moving inside you. Deep breaths. Recover. And we'll meet once more on the floor. So please come into a seated position. You might want to sit on something. Feel the effects of everything you've done for yourself today. Breathe deeply. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you again soon with another emotion alchemy practice. Be sure to visit my website, DivineMeTime.com, to find out more or learn how to work with me privately. Thank you.